What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Just want to do a little vlog, do something a little different for Monday. I usually don't post on a Monday, but I figured I would this week. So what I want to talk about is something that I haven't really talked about a whole lot of on any of my platforms, I don't believe. I may have mentioned it in my book, but I don't remember. I don't even think I've blogged about it a little bit, but not a lot. So I want to talk about the fact that I am a recovering, high-functioning, anxiety-driven person. Now, I was going through my Facebook timeline today, and it brought up a picture of about 6 years ago. And just looking at my face at that time was very telling of how burdened I was and how stressed I was and how the cares and weight of life were just eating me alive. And it was sad to see, because I was a younger, vibrant person that looked like life had just been sucked out of her. And at that point, this was a picture from 2014, and at that point I was post-op, my second surgery. I was still very much heavily a caregiver in more than one capacity. I was taking care of my father, who had attempted suicide. I was taking care of my mother, who had a stroke in 2007, and that put her in a wheelchair. So basically my existence fully became caregiver the more. Now, I've been a caregiver ever since I was 8 years old. I took care of my two grandmothers from the time I was 8 years old, and then my first grandmother passed away in 1996, and then after that, my father's mother, my other grandmother, she became very ill with cancer and radiation treatments and things like that. So then I became a stay-in caregiver with her, and from that point, I was in college and I was working a job, and I think this was in like the lean times in the season where I was working at, because it was related to water in the docks and things, that the owner's son had asked my mother, who was at that time the manager of the facility, and she hadn't had her stroke at this point. They had asked if I would sit with their mother. So for about a summer, I sat with their mother. I fed her through feeding tubes. I changed her because she was bedridden at that point. And then she passed away sometime there, maybe a year or so later, after I had left working there. And then after that happened, I did have a break time of not being a caregiver, being a full-time college student, being employed, looking for other better employment. At that time, when I was in between college and everything, looking for that first job and working through temp agencies and everything. And then in 2007, my mom had her stroke. That's what put her in a wheelchair. Spent that entire she had the stroke on May the 2nd, 2007. She did not come home until June the 16th. So I spent many a day up and down the road, staying in rehab, staying in just everywhere that I needed to be for her, because she didn't want to be alone. She didn't trust people. She'd gone from wide open, fully independent, to having to depend on people, and that was it was new for her. So that happened. So that's it. That's what began to tip my anxiety greater, I would say, because I had anxiety as a child anyway. We would go on family vacations and things, and I would be nervous as a cat leaving home and knowing that my it was always about of anxiety, and everybody, aunts and uncles and everybody were like, you got the nerves of your grandmother, this, and I never really paid it any mind. And some people later on in life were like, you need to be on medication, your nerves are just so bad. And I just kept shaking it off. I didn't want to be on medication. I know what the perceived notion of people being put on medications was, that they become doped up, they become basically catatonic or just in a vegetative state to the point of they're not functioning as a functioning portion of society anymore. And I didn't want that. So I fought it for many, many years. So I go through all that, and then, like I said, she had her stroke, and then years later my father tried to commit suicide, and then he went into the mental ward three times. So that tipped it even more, because by the third time he was really just out there. I was in my last semester of college, so that's even more stressful, trying to make sure you get the credits that you need to graduate. I remember doing homework on the floor of the hospital on their Wi-Fi, trying to make sure I stayed on top of my assignments. So, needless to say, I have been a very high anxiety person. I lived on the edge. I was jumpy. It didn't take much once I got to a certain tipping point to topple me over. So as about 2016 rolled around, I crossed over to a new church, and that really began the journey of me getting some soul stability that I need to be able to maintain my anxiety. Because anxiety can't go away unless you're really good at it. But mine has not gone away. I have to fight it every day. But I've been given tools to do so. But I've entered therapy, counseling sessions, mentorship, coaching, and things of that nature. And it got to a point where she recommended that maybe I seek something that can help balance me out. Because if I found out that my father has a mental instability, and then when his instability occurred, we found out that my grandmother had a mental instability too, so it's very strong on that side of the family, that if I don't do something to address it now, I could fall down the same rabbit hole, and I don't want to do that. So I talked to my doctor. We began a small treatment of Celexa 10 milligrams. I started on that. It began to help, but it wasn't strong enough because I was still battling it very strongly. So after about a month or so, she increased it to 20. I have been on 20 milligrams of Celexa since 2018, and that has really helped me a lot. The only time I came off of my medication was when I just recently battled COVID-19, and that was the worst thing I could have ever done in my lifetime, because by the third week, I can tell I had come off of it, and it was out of my system completely, because my phone would go off, I would jump, and things around the house, it would just make me really on edge and stuff. So I could tell I had really been off my medication. So I can tell that psychotherapy, medicinal therapy, and the tools that I've been given to help maintain me and my anxiety level have helped me so much. So if you're anyone, or anyone that battles anxiety, that just, they seem on edge, they seem nervous about everything, they worry about everything, they're thinking about everything, they're in their head all the time, maybe gently and lovingly, I wouldn't say push, but have them consider seeking psychotherapy treatments of a therapist or counselor, or even speaking to a doctor to help them get on some type of medicinal treatment if there is a medical instability in their body. Because that's what I found to be with mine, that it was medical instability and trauma from the things that I was raised in. So highly recommend. I will leave a link down below in the description of my therapist. She does live therapy, not so much therapy, but therapy coaching training sessions on Tuesday on Facebook. They're live, they're free. It's a free public page. Go check it out. She has a book. I'll link those below as well. Highly recommend. If you also want to participate in our more spiritual side through church and things, I will link that down below also. But this facility, because it's a developmental center, has helped me so much that I attribute my growth, development, and gaining some stable footing to them in so many ways. So know that there is hope if you battle anxiety. Know that there is a process to recovery, and know that if I can do it, so can you. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned and connected for my more content. Have a good one. Bye-bye.